All right, everyone, please be seated. And good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. Hope you had a good evening. I know I got stuck in that traffic coming in today. I know some of you did. I'm hoping it was just the first day of school. It'll get a little better, but I'll leave a little earlier tomorrow. I come from the coast, so I came through the high school and then the Joseph Martin School. So hopefully it'll get a little better over the next few days. So anyway, we'll go ahead and get started this morning. And I believe, Mr. Weinstein, it's your opportunity to cross-examine.
Your Honor, did the court wish to do the admonition concerning the media? I know you had indicated.
Yeah, again, I trust that all of you were able to abide by the court's instructions about no access to the media. I assume everyone good with that?
Yes.
All right, very good. All right, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. You may proceed, Mr. Weinstein.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Special Agent Dickerson.
Good morning.
Just to formally introduce myself, I'm Doug Weinstein, and I am representing Mr. Kassotis in this case. I just want to make sure I understand your experience. You have been a crime scene specialist for about 4 years, correct?
Yes, sir.
That's with the GBI. I understand you have experience before that as well, right?
That's correct.
And did you say yesterday, and I understand you're not a statistician, I think that's the words you used, but you see about 20, or you analyze about 25 to 50 scenes per year?
25 to 30.
25 to 30.
Yes, sir.
So over 4 years, 100, 120, roughly. I won't hold you to that number, but 100, 120 is about right?
Sure.
Quite a few.
Yes, sir, right around there.
Okay. Let's go back to December the 2nd. You go to, I guess, the scene at Jones Road and what we're calling Hunt Club Road, that intersection where the gate is, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you get there at about 9:15 at night, roughly.
Yes, sir.
You said that there was lots of trash on the side of the road, correct?
Yes, sir.
You said there were beer cans, right?
Yes, sir.
You said there were Coke bottles. When you say by the side of the road, was that on Jones Road or was that on the Hunt Club Road?
Jones Road is a public road, so there's far more litter on the side of Jones Road than there was on the Hunting Club Road, but there was some on the Hunting Club Road as well.
And again, you saw beer cans and Coke bottles. What other trash did you see there?
Just your generic roadside litter that you would see anywhere. And I say Coke bottles generically, soda bottles. But I remember seeing a box that contained an alcoholic beverage, like a cardboard box. I think there was even a couple of old box TVs, CRT TVs that had been discarded in the woods there at the intersection. So there's a significant amount of trash in the area.
And as an old trademark lawyer, I appreciate you clarifying that when you said Coke bottle, you really meant that generically and not the Coca-Cola company.
Yes.
So now, you did not elect to take any of those beer cans or soda cans, soda bottles, beer bottles into evidence, correct?
That's correct.
Now, isn't it true that beer cans, Coke bottles, that type of material, you could get latent prints off of those at times, correct?
That's a possibility, yes.
And out of that 100, 120 scenes that you have collected evidence from before, have you ever picked up cans, bottles, other things like that?
Yes, sir. I picked up items that were later processed for latent fingerprints. Yes, sir.
Okay. But in this case, you elected not to pick those up, correct?
That's correct.
You did also, there was a cigarette pack that was photographed, I believe a Marlboro pack, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you took that Marlboro pack into evidence, right?
I did.
Are you the person, once you collect this into evidence, it then goes to a crime lab?
That's correct.
And what crime lab does that go to?
So when I say crime lab, the GBI operates a statewide crime lab, and we have several locations. The location that serves our area is located in Pooler.
When it
Coastal Crime Lab.
I'm sorry. Are you through?
I am.
Okay. When it goes to the crime lab, are you the one that decides on what tests are performed by the crime lab?
To some extent, we can submit evidence to the lab and request that certain processes be conducted on evidence. We cannot require them to be processed. The lab does have to make decisions based on the resources that they have available to them.
I believe you testified that the case agent in this case I don't know what the right verb is, Tracy Sands. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, that's
Agent
correct.
Sands. Do you see Agent Sands in the courtroom now?
I do.
Where's Agent Sands?
He's sitting at the prosecution table.
Okay. So does Agent Sands also, is he someone that could also request that certain evidence be analyzed at the crime lab?
That's correct. We can request.
So either you might request, Agent Sands might request, might request, correct?
That's right.
Okay. Did you request any analysis on that Marlboro cigarette pack?
So the evidence submission forms were made and the cigarette pack was submitted to the crime lab, but it would be a better question for Agent Sands than it would be for myself.
Okay. Well, you specifically did not request any particular analysis on the Marlboro cigarette pack, correct?
That's correct.
We mentioned the bottles and the cans and that you could get latent prints off of those, or you have at times, correct?
Yes, sir.
Can you also get DNA evidence off like a Coca-Cola can?
Certainly, it's a possibility.
But in this case, you collected none of those, correct?
That's correct.
And let's move to 311 East 65th Street in Savannah. So we'll talk about that for a bit. You called that a crime scene in your testimony. Why did you call that a crime scene?
It's sort of a shorthand for saying that it's a place that we searched for or examined for signs of criminal activity.
When you call it a crime scene, are you presuming that a crime occurred there?
So the presumption holds yes. We do need to, we're not going to go to a place that's just random and say, well, we don't think a crime happened here, but we're going to search anyway. I mean, we're going to go there based on fact and driven by how the investigation leads us, and then conduct an examination of a place, be it a vehicle, or apartment, a house, wherever, based on the fact that there may be something there.
Okay. And that property had a house upon it that we heard a lot of testimony about yesterday, correct?
Yes, sir.
And there was also a shed in the back of the house, right?
There was.
Did you look in that shed?
I did.
About how big was that shed?
10 by 10, 12 by 12, not very big, but
What was located inside the shed?
if I remember correctly, it was just packed full of tools and things you might find in a garden shed. There were some old paint cans, things stored. I don't recall exactly without referring to a photograph that I took of the interior, but it was not particularly well kept. It was a little haphazard the way things were stored inside.
Well, lots of folks keep their sheds in the back like that, I think, correct?
Me as well.
Did you do any luminol testing within that shed?
Not within the shed. I did, however, take a few items out of the shed and bring them into the house for testing.
What items did you take from the shed to bring into the house for testing?
There were some power tools.
And what was the result of your luminol testing on those power tools?
There was no result shown from the BlueStar application.
And when you say BlueStar, that's the BlueStar luminol that was discussed yesterday, right?
Correct. That's the chemical that causes the blue glow when it comes into contact with blood.
You also, and correct me if I'm wrong, always correct me if I misstate anything that you said, because
Yes,
I don't want to mischaracterize or get anything wrong about your testimony, okay? So please just stop me. Will you do that?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. I think you will anyway. I just want to make sure I hear it from you. Did you testify yesterday that you do not believe, and I'm sorry, I have to be indelicate because of the nature of this case, you believe Mrs. Kassotis was not dismembered in that house?
I believe that there's not enough physical evidence available to make that determination decisively.
One way or the other?
Correct.
If she was dismembered in that house, what type of evidence would you have expected to find that might confirm that she was dismembered there, or lead you to believe with greater certainty that she may have been dismembered there?
Without sounding too jocular, hopefully a video of the inside of the house showing it, but that would be great evidence. There wasn't any video, obviously, of the interior of the house showing a crime having occurred, but if I were to remember yesterday when I taught, a lot of the questions that are posed to us asked about crime scene starts off with, well, it depends. In this particular case, it depends on, you would expect to see a lot of blood, but it will also depend on the preparations that were made prior to, and again, this is a terrible thing to talk about, but prior to her being dismembered, if there were any protective measures made. I put on a Tyvek suit before I got into a ditch full of mud, water, and other biological hazards. If somebody were to lay down, say, a tarp or something like that, then that might protect items of furniture, the walls or floor from blood. So it just depends.
You found relatively little blood there, correct?
Correct.
As a matter of fact, the blood that was on the floor, I think you said that you had to do a full 1 minute exposure in order to render an image of the luminol glow from the floor, correct?
That's correct.
What's your typical exposure when you take a photograph of luminol?
Typically, again, it depends. If the reaction is very bright and the picture is being taken from very close away from the subject, it's like a close-up photograph as opposed to an overall photograph of the room where I might have to use a smaller aperture that lets less light into the camera per second that the shutter's open, then I may be able to use a 15 or 20 second exposure. If it's an overall photograph of a room and I'm using a smaller aperture in order to get the entire room in focus, then I may need to use a longer shutter speed to compensate for that darkness.
Well, let's compare it to the luminol glow that came from the futon that was found in the residence.
Correct.
How long was the shutter exposure when you photographed that luminol on the futon?
I honestly wouldn't recall.
Would that be in your notes?
So it wouldn't be in our notes. However, the digital cameras that we use contain a small piece of information called an EXIF file, or exchangeable image file. And you can think of that file like a tag on a Christmas gift, if you would. It's got a little bit of information about the photograph in it. It's limited to about 64 kilobytes of data. And what that contains is information about the date and time that was set on the camera when the photograph was made. It can tell you information about the make and the model of the camera that took the photograph, and it'll also tell you things like shutter speed, aperture, the ISO setting, or how sensitive the digital sensor was at the time that the photograph was taken. And for newer cameras and for your cell phones, it'll also contain geographic information like your GPS coordinates. So I could refer to that file, but we'd have to take a break and I'd have to load the file and look at it in a computer.
Okay. That EXIF file, that's essentially metadata. Correct, about the photograph?
Yes, sir.
So you don't recall exactly how long. Was it less than 60 seconds?
I'm assuming so, yes, but again, I couldn't speak with any certainty, but it wasn't as long an exposure, I believe, as the overall of the entire room.
And as far as, I guess, what you've been referring to as the arc on the wall, the arc of blood that was about a foot long or so,
Yes, sir.
That was so minimal that you couldn't even photograph it, correct?
That's correct.
You made an initial application. I believe you said you had to get, did you say you had to get really close to even see that there was a glow?
Correct. It was very, very difficult to see.
And that futon, the location of the blood on the futon, you testified yesterday that, well, I guess you went to the house in May of 23, correct?
That's correct.
And Mrs. Kassotis' murder was back in that November, December 22 time frame, correct? It was 6 months prior. Mrs. Kassotis was murdered about 6 months prior. to
Yeah,
that?
her body was recovered on December 2nd, yes, sir.
Okay. So it had been 6 months, and you said that futon, you don't know what position that futon was in 6 months prior to you being at the house.
No, sir, it's movable within the scene, so I have no idea.
So the futon could have been flipped around, correct?
Correct.
And while when you saw the futon, I guess the blood was would be, I guess, behind on the backside of where your head would rest if it was a couch, correct?
Correct.
But it could have been flipped around.
Yes, sir.
And that blood could have been in the seating area of the futon if it was flipped around in that way.
Yes, sir. It'd be more on, like on the edge. Like if the futon was a mattress, so to speak, that was just foldable, then instead of it being on the top or the bottom, it would be kind of on the side.
So if you were sitting on the edge of the futon, then that blood could be beneath where you're sitting, correct?
Possibly.
When you do the luminol testing, that is just showing the presence of blood, correct?
Yes, sir.
Could be human blood, could be animal blood, right? You don't know what type of blood.
Yes, sir.
Does the luminol tell you whether it would be venous blood or menstrual blood? Does it tell the type of blood at all?
No, sir. Again, this chemical reacts with the hemoglobin, the iron in the blood, so it doesn't differentiate between where the blood came from within the body. It's just blood.
So because you just know it's some kind of blood, I think you testified that then you do an OBTI test, correct?
Yes, sir.
And just maybe to refresh everyone's memory, that OBTI test is the one that looked like those kind of COVID tests that we all had to suffer through a few years ago, right?
Yes, sir. Very similar.
Very small. The OBTI test, that tells you whether or not it's human blood, correct?
They can give you an indication thereof, yes, sir.
Does it indicate whether it's menstrual blood or not?
No, sir.
Can we pull out, let me see, which specific exhibit? Give me just one moment, please. You still have all your exhibits from yesterday up there behind you, correct?
Yes, sir.
Could you pull out exhibit 1.8, which is the package that contains the wipe that you found wrapped around the handle of the knife? Could you open that up, please? Would you remove the wipe once you have that open? Okay. Is it possible to open that up anymore without damaging it? May I approach, Your Honor?
You may.
I'm not going to touch it.
There are gloves if you'd like.
Yeah, I'm
also.
good. Right, so there's actually two wipes there, is that correct? They're perforated, there's a perforation keeping them together?
That's correct.
Okay. You may put that away now, thank you very much. So you collected all of these wipes as evidence and you submitted them to the lab, correct?
That's correct.
You testified yesterday that in some cases these cleaning wipes can destroy DNA, correct?
That's my understanding in conversations that I've had with the folks at the lab in the biology section, is that is a possibility that the DNA can be damaged by certain brands of cleaning wipes, depending on the chemicals that are involved in the process.
But then there are also other brands of cleaning wipes where DNA would not be destroyed, correct?
That's possible, but I couldn't speak to it with any certainty.
Did you ask that these wipes be checked for DNA?
Again, with Agent Sands having submitted the evidence himself for testing, then those requests would have been made through him.
So if you could just answer that one question, did you request that these wipes be tested for DNA?
I did not.
Okay, thank you. I have no further questions, Your Honor. Thank you very much, Special Agent.
Briefly, Judge. Agent Dickerson, you were asked by counsel whether you saw certain drinking containers on the roadway, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you recall that series of questions?
Yes, ma'am.
How far were they from the body?
So, as we spoke several times yesterday, the body was about 650 feet away from the intersection, down the Hunting Club Road, and then Jones Road itself, there was an orange gate pretty much at the intersection. The majority of the trash that I observed on scene was pretty much as you would expect to see. It was in the ditch and along the edge of the road on the public road.
That's on Jones Road?
Correct.
Okay. And if that trash, including those drinking cans, had been found in proximity to the torso, would you have taken them?
Of course.
Did you, with respect to the Marlboro pack that you referred to?
I did. It wasn't exactly found near the body. It was about halfway back toward the intersection from the body. So there wasn't necessarily a direct connection between the two, but we took it out of an abundance of caution.
Okay. And I believe you testified yesterday about the conditions of the weather in the days leading up to December 2nd of 2022. Can you refresh us as to what it was in those days?
Yes, ma'am. We spoke with, as part of our initial briefing when we arrived on scene, we spoke with...
Objection to hearsay.
He's just saying who he spoke with. He didn't say what they said.
As long as he doesn't say what they said. All right.
Did you speak
Understood.
with anybody about the weather conditions?
I did.
Were you yourself in Liberty County on those days beforehand?
I was not.
Did you see if there was any rain in the ditch anywhere near these areas?
Yes.
How much rain? Meaning, on your body, how deep was the water?
Well, there was standing water in the ditches, and the ground was very saturated when we got there, even though it wasn't actively raining at the time.
Okay. And just so we're clear, we're in South Georgia, so sometimes we have standing water all the time, right?
Yes. I can also say that as part of the forensic entomology that was done, there was some weather conditions that had to be researched, and I was able to access weather data from a nearby weather station. And while I don't remember the exact numbers, I can tell you it recorded precipitation in the area in the days leading up to the discovery of Mindy's torso.
Do you know if anybody else actually recorded, or without telling us what was recorded, whether that actual data was secured in connection with this case?
Will you repeat that question for me?
What I'm asking is, do you know if anybody else secured the precipitation data in the days leading up to December 2nd of 2022 without telling us what it was?
So again, in working with Dr. Edward Mondor at Georgia Southern, the forensic entomologist, part of his studies are to include weather data in his interpretation. So yes, I know that he accessed data.
So he knows how much rain there actually was.
I can't say what he knows, but that's a possibility.
Okay. And with respect to rain, and again, if I am going too far afield of your forensic expertise, please let us know. Counsel asked you whether or not the cleaning wipes, the chemicals in them, can destroy or damage DNA. Do you know what water can do to fingerprints or DNA if it comes into contact with it?
And there's a possibility that it can remove both from the surface of a piece of evidence or a piece of potential evidence.
What about wiping with a cleansing wipe? What could that do to fingerprints or DNA, if you know?
Well, again, there's a lot of unknown variables to the question that you're asking, but even something as simple as a dry paper towel rubbed across latent fingerprints, which are primarily made up of oil and water, would cause some mechanical destruction of those prints. They wouldn't be there anymore on a hard surface. Now, on a porous surface, that may be a little different, but on a plastic or a metal surface that's smooth, then yeah, certainly rubbing something across it could destroy those fingerprints.
Okay. And do you know if light has any impact? Only if you know.
On latent prints or DNA?
On either or.
So sunlight is got a large component. A large component of sunlight is ultraviolet light, and ultraviolet light is not good for DNA at all. In fact, you may see ultraviolet lights being used to sanitize certain things, and that's given enough exposure. My training indicates that DNA can be damaged by sunlight.
So at a minimum, you're aware that as of December 2nd of 2022, that's when a portion of her remains were recovered, correct?
I'm sorry.
A portion of her remains were first recovered on December 2nd of 2022.
Correct. That's when Minnie's torso was found.
Okay. And the rest of her body was recovered over how many days?
The right leg was recovered on the 3rd. Her left leg was recovered on the 5th. And her head was the last item to be recovered, and it was recovered on the 7th.
And do you know where that head physically was? Meaning, was it on the ground or in the ground?
I wasn't there. I'm aware of it through the circumstances of the investigation, but my understanding is buried.
Okay. Could being buried impact the ability to recover any additional DNA potentially?
It'd probably be a better question for someone from the biology section.
From the biology
of the lab
section.
than myself.
Okay. Now, cleansing wipes. Counsel asked you about those cleansing wipes, and you, I believe, pulled out the one that was in 1.8. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
As we sit here, did you see stains on that actual set of wipes?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. But you don't know what those stains are, right?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Would you have been able to field test those stains out at the scene?
I could have.
Okay. Why didn't you?
Because those items are small enough and portable enough that we could take them to the lab and have them tested there without any trouble.
Okay. And would that have been something potentially they might have done?
It could be.
Okay. And DNA generally, that gets handled by whom in the Georgia Bureau of Investigation forensic teams?
So DNA processing is conducted by the biology section of our lab.
Do you do that?
I do not. The crime lab is actually a different division. The Georgia Bureau of Investigation is made up of 3 divisions, and the lab in the medical examiner's office is one of those. I'm in the investigative division, so while we're the same parent agency, we operate independently of one another.
Now, I just want to talk for a moment about the items in the shed. Do you have any idea who those items belong to?
I do not. I'm assuming the homeowner.
Do you
But
have
that's
any
an assumption.
Okay. Do you have any idea if they were there when Mr. Kassotis and Mindy Mebane lived there?
I have no way of determining that.
Do you have any idea? Well, let me back that up. Did you see any blood on any of those items?
Not the ones that I processed, no, ma'am.
And which items you processed, you said were the power tools, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you remember what type of tools you processed?
Again, I'd have to look at the photographs, but there was a circular saw and I want to say maybe a drill and something else. I'd have to look back to make sure that.
Okay. Do you have that in your notes?
Uh,
Or would that be in a photograph?
It would probably be in a photograph.
Okay. And can you tell us what a circular saw is? Not everybody uses those.
Certainly, a lot of folks down in the South call it a skill saw, which is kind of like calling a soda can a Coke bottle, but it's basically a saw that you would use to cut wood, lumber. It's handheld, about that big. There's a blade on the side that loads in, spins, and you can push it through wood to cut it.
But you didn't see any blood on it.
No, ma'am.
But
I
you
didn't see
tried.
any blood on any of the tools that I checked.
Did you try to find any of the tools that could have potentially been used as cutting tools?
Yes, ma'am.
And were those all the ones that you looked at for blood?
Only the ones that could have even potentially been used are the ones that I checked for blood. And again, out of an abundance of caution, I didn't see any, but since I already had the chemical mixed and it was there and I had enough left to test, I went ahead and pulled the tools inside and tested them
So you
before we left.
you BlueStarred those in the blacked out house as well.
Yes, ma'am.
But as you sit here, you have no idea if Mr. Kassotis even had access to those tools back in December or in the time frame around her body being recovered.
I have no way of knowing.
You mentioned yesterday that it was an Airbnb. Is that correct?
Our investigation indicated that.
And do you know if it was active? Only if you know if it was actively being used still as an Airbnb?
That was my understanding, is that it was still for rent.
Okay. I have nothing further, Your Honor.
Anything else?
Briefly, Your Honor.
The state mentioned that, or asked you about the location of most of the trash that you saw, cans, bottles, and it was along Jones Road.
Yes, sir.
And that was approximately 650 feet away, correct?
Yes, sir.
Looking at Exhibit 1.4 that was introduced yesterday, you recall this?
Yes, sir.
In Exhibit 1.4, evidence placards 1 through 3 and 4 through 7. Those ones down by the gate. That's approximately 650 feet away as well, correct?
Yes, sir.
So even though those were also 650 feet away, you felt that that was evidence that should be collected.
I did.
And that evidence included the Husky storage container. You took that, correct?
Yes, sir.
You took the Milwaukee knife that was 650 feet away from her torso.
I did.
You took cleaning wipes that were 650 feet away from her torso.
Yes, sir.
You took torn, cut, gray cloth that was 650 feet away from her torso.
I did.
And you took literally a black plastic trash bag that was 650 feet away from her torso.
Yes,
Correct?
Sir. Yes, sir. I did.
And you, and when I say you in this case, I mean the team that was there. So y'all picked up an empty cigarette pack that, at least on Exhibit 1.4, looks to be several hundred feet away from her torso, correct?
That's fair.
Was there no trash in Exhibit 1.4 between the gate and the location of her torso?
There may have been small pieces of trash that I just overlooked. That's a possibility.
Okay. Thank you. I have no further questions.
All right, can the witness be excused?
State has no additional questions.
No questions.
All right, thank you, sir. You're excused.
Thank you.
All right, our next witness, please.
Your Honor, at this time, the state calls Lindsay Smith.
Good morning. Please raise your right hand.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please be seated.
May I?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm going to ask if you could just keep the microphone nice and close to your mouth so that the jurors can hear you.
Okay.
Can you please state your name and spell it for the court reporter?
Lindsay Smith, Lindsay, Smith, S-M-I-T-H.
Where do you work?
I'm employed by the Georgia Bureau of Investigation.
And what is your role at the Georgia Bureau of Investigation?
I'm the special agent in charge assigned to the Statesboro Field Office.
What is a special agent in charge?
So my responsibilities are to supervise the personnel assigned to that office. We have 6 case agents, 2 crime scene specialists, and an assistant special agent in charge, an office manager, and an intel analyst assigned to the office.
And in that capacity, have you ever been a field agent yourself?
Yes, I have.
How long have you been with the GBI total?
19 and a half years.
And in your time with them in the 19 and a half years, is that the only role that you had, meaning special agent in charge, or what are your other prior titles?
So I began my career as a narcotics agent. I was promoted to special agent where I worked field work cases. Then I was promoted to assistant special agent in charge, and then now special agent in charge.
Would it be fair to say that each of those were promotions, essentially?
That's correct.
Okay. And prior to the GBI, were you in law enforcement, or is this your first law enforcement position?
I was in law enforcement previously.
Where were you?
I was assigned to the Altima Hall Drug Task Force as a narcotics agent.
How long were you with them?
Almost 3 years,
Okay, so in total, how long have you been in law enforcement?
22 years.
And in that time, would it be fair to say that you've also assisted in crime scenes and investigations of cases?
That's correct.
How many cases do you think you've managed over the course of your career? Estimated, not exact.
Hundreds.
Okay. And in that capacity, have you worked in partnership with other agencies?
Yes, I have.
In this case specifically, were you working in a partnership with any other agencies?
Yes, I was.
Can you tell the jury what agencies were involved in the investigation of this case?
Sure. We received our request from the Liberty County Sheriff's Office, but also during the investigation, we coordinated with other state law enforcement agencies, the Department of Natural Resources, Georgia State Patrol. We also coordinated with some federal agencies such as the FBI.
Okay. And you indicated that your title now is Special Agent in Charge. Was that your title in December of 2022?
No, it was not.
What were you at that time?
I was the Assistant Special Agent in Charge.
Congratulations on your promotion.
Thank you.
Can you explain to the jury what the difference is between the Assistant Special Agent in Charge and the Special Agent in Charge?
Sure, we have similar roles. As the Assistant Special Agent in Charge, my involvement was more operational, whereas now I'm more administrative.
Were you on duty December 2nd of 2022?
Yes, I was.
What was your role that day in connection with this case?
It was actually after hours, but I was contacted by the case agent, Tracy Sands, to let me know that we had received a request for assistance from the Liberty County Sheriff's Office.
And how does that work, receiving a request?
The majority of the time, the call comes into our communications center. They have our on-call roster available. Once the call comes in, then they contact the on-call agent.
And the on-call agent that evening was?
Tracy Sands.
And as a result of Agent Sands being contacted, would that have been him who then gets assigned basically to that case?
Yes, that's correct.
And did that happen here?
Yes, it did.
Did you go anywhere to assist in the investigation at that point when you received the call from Agent Sands?
Not on that evening, I did not.
Okay. Is there a reason you didn't respond yourself?
I didn't feel that there was a need for me to be there at that time.
How long had Agent Sands been working with the GBI by the time you had gotten that call?
Probably 25 years.
Were you confident that he was able to handle that?
Yes, I was.
And when you got the call initially, you said it came in from Liberty County Sheriff's Office. Did you know what county that the remains, the initial piece of her remains, were recovered?
Yes, it would have been Liberty County.
Okay. Can you tell the jury what the relationships of the counties are kind of in that area where Jones Road and Barrington Ferry is? Is that all Liberty County, or is that near other counties? How does that work?
No, it's Liberty County, McIntosh County, and Long County kind of converge together in that general area.
Okay. So her physical remains initially were in Liberty County. Do you know if any of the other remains were found in places other than Liberty County?
Yes, they were.
Where were they found?
In McIntosh County.
Okay, so Liberty and McIntosh?
Yes.
Okay. And when the initial call came in, though, her remains were in Liberty.
That's correct.
Did that impact who you partnered with in connection with this case?
Yes, it did.
How so?
So since we got the request from the Liberty County Sheriff's Office, we would be working with them.
Okay. And when you ultimately, well, let me back up. Did you get to the scene at some point?
Yes, I did.
What day did you go to the Portal Hunting Club down in Riceboro?
I went out that Monday, December 5th.
Okay. And when you got there on December 5th, why did you go there?
We were doing an extensive search that day, and I wanted to participate.
Okay. When you say extensive search, can you tell the jury what you mean by that? What was going on?
Sure, we coordinated with some canine handlers out of South Carolina, the Department of Natural Resources, obviously some more personnel from my office, and individuals from the Liberty County Sheriff's Office. And so our task was to go out there, saturate the area to look for additional remains that we were still missing and any other evidence.
Was it important to find the rest of her remains?
Yes, it was.
Can you tell the jury why?
At that point, we were missing her head, which is obviously a large piece of the puzzle that would help us identify who she was. We'd know what she looked like, what her eye color was, hair color.
And at that point, did you have any idea who she was?
We did not.
Had steps already been taken to try and identify her?
On the 5th?
As of even the first day?
Yes.
Okay. But had they yielded any results?
No, they had not.
Okay. So when you get out there on December 5th, can you tell us who was present at the scene?
Tracy Sands was out there, our crime scene specialist, Brett Dickerson. There was a representative from Department of Natural Resources, I believe 3 canine teams, and some members of the Liberty County Sheriff's Office. I don't recall specific names.
Okay. And you mentioned Special Agent Dickerson. Did you assist him at some point on that day in the course of this investigation?
Yes, I did.
Can you tell the jury what you did to assist Agent Dickerson?
Sure. He had collected a sample of maggots from the left leg that we had found. Those maggots needed to be boiled, essentially, so I was able to perform that task.
Okay. Was he able to do that out in the field?
No, he was not.
So did you physically take them somewhere to do that?
I did. I had contacts in the area that were able to provide me with this outdoor kitchen, so to speak, where I was able to heat water and then pour the boiling water on top of the maggots.
And that processing, did you receive any guidance, without telling us exactly what was said, did you receive any guidance in how to perform that task?
Yes, I did.
Who did you receive that guidance from?
It was through Agent Dickerson, but from Dr. Mondor.
Okay. And do you know what his role was in this case?
He's an entomologist that works for Georgia Southern University that we consult with sometimes.
Okay. And when you boiled the maggots, what did you do with them afterwards?
I went back to the crime scene and turned them over to Agent Dickerson.
Okay. Did they remain in your custody the entire time that you went to process them before you returned them to Agent Dickerson?
Yes, they did.
And so when you gave them to Agent Dickerson, he was the last person that had them after you?
That's correct.
Do you know if they were submitted at some point to Dr. Mondor for review?
Yes, they were.
And would the special agent in charge and the assistant special agent in charge have to manage somehow the funding for taking care of that?
Yes.
Okay. Does the Georgia Bureau of Investigation Crime Laboratory have the ability to do that kind of testing itself?
No, they don't.
So that would have required you to go somewhere else?
That's correct.
In your career, how many times have you had bugs processed?
That was the first.
Why did you do that?
To preserve them as they were, so that we could get a better timeline on how long the remains had been in the woods.
As of that date, December 5th, did you have any idea exactly how long they were in the woods?
No, we did not.
So what would Dr. Mondor be able to provide you in terms of that you were hoping to accomplish?
A date range of how long they had been out there, particularly when they were placed there.
Now, When you learned that the deceased in this case, Mindy, had been dismembered, did that cause you any concerns for the investigation?
Yes, it did.
Why?
At that particular time, we still did not have her head, which was going to be useful in identification.
Did you contact anybody once the head was recovered?
Yes, I did.
Who did you contact?
I contacted the GBI's forensic artist, Kelly Lawson, to request some assistance with the photograph at that time.
Okay. And can you tell the jury what would the forensic artist have to do with this case?
So initially, I received a photograph from the autopsy of the face of Miss Mindy. And my initial request to the forensic artist was to ask if she could make the picture look better so that it could be released to the media. That was not an option in this case, so what we did was have her basically draw an image to be used to release for the media.
So if you had had a, for lack of a better word, non-traumatized face, would you have released that photograph?
It's possible, depending on how it looked.
So it's the condition of the body?
That's correct.
Okay. So in this case, given the condition of the body, you were not able to do that?
That's right.
Okay. So did you provide anything to Kelly Lawson, the forensic artist, in conjunction with your request?
Yes, I sent her the photograph that we obtained from the autopsy.
And if you know, was that head modified in any way during the course of the autopsy in terms of the photograph you received?
It had been cleaned, but other than that, nothing else.
Okay. And did you give her any other details concerning the appearance of the deceased?
Yes, I did.
What did you provide to her?
We were able to provide height, possible weight, and the hair type, essentially.
Okay. Did you discuss with her eye color?
Yes.
What eye color did you tell her?
We told her brown at the time.
And you say at the time. Why did that change at some point?
It did.
Why?
I don't know the scientific reasoning behind it. During autopsy, the eyes appeared to be brown. I do believe they were naturally a different color.
Okay. Would Dr. Lehman be able to explain that as he did to you at some point?
Yes.
Okay. And I say Dr. Lehman, who was he?
He was our medical examiner who performed the autopsy.
Okay. So initially, you simply thought the eyes were brown.
That's correct.
Okay. And so when that information was provided, did that include that information to Ms. Lawson?
Yes, it did.
Ultimately, did you ever receive a drawing back from Ms. Lawson?
Yes, I did.
Can you explain to the jury what you did with that drawing?
Sure. We were able to create a flyer per se with the photograph on it and some additional identifying information, and then we've included our phone number and ways to contact the GBI should someone recognize the picture.
And do you know what day that was that you received and posted, so to speak, that flyer that you just referred to?
So I received the flyer on December 11th, which I believe was a Sunday, and it went out to the media that Monday, the 12th.
Okay. And that was in 2022?
Yes.
Okay. And as a result of receiving that and posting it, did you receive any leads or tips from people seeing that photograph?
We did receive some leads.
Okay. Tell us how you managed those tips coming into the GBI.
We have an intel analyst assigned to our office, and she was able to maintain a spreadsheet with information that we were getting as the calls came in. We received tips from over 17 states across the country.
Okay. Were you fielding those tips and investigating them?
I believe I may have taken a call or two, but mostly that was being handled by a case agent and the intel analyst.
Okay. When those tips started coming in, did you ultimately identify her through the tips?
No, we did not.
So subsequent to that first photograph, did there come a time when there was a second drawing?
Yes, there was.
When was the second drawing?
If I can refer to my notes, that was on January 3rd.
On January 3rd, did you receive a second drawing?
Yes, I did.
Who did you receive it from?
From Kelly Lawson.
Okay. And when Ms. Lawson sent you that drawing, tell the jury what you did with it.
We submitted another flyer with some additional information and put it out to our media.
Okay. Did that also get posted to the public media?
Yes, it did.
Did you receive additional tips?
Yes, we did.
Did you do any better with the second drawing than the first?
No, we did not.
No identification?
No, ma'am.
Okay. I'm going to show you what I'm going to mark as 1.16. I'm not going to show this because it's a manual photograph, so I'm going to ask the jury when ultimately I publish it, just to keep it so that it can't be seen. May I approach?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm showing you what's been marked as 1.16. Do you recognize that?
Yes, I do.
What do you recognize that to be?
That's the photo that was taken at the autopsy that was provided to Kelly Lawson.
What is it a photograph of?
It's a photograph of Mindy's face.
Okay. Is that her whole head?
That's her face. The neck is not in the photograph.
Okay. Is that a fair and accurate duplicate of exactly what you sent to Ms. Lawson?
Yes, it is.
Your Honor, at this time I'd like to tender 1.16.
No objection, Your Honor. It's in the,
Your Honor, at this time I'd like to publish that to the jury.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you would just hold it closely so that it's not exposed to anyone. Hand that to the witness, please.
That was the photograph you sent to Ms. Lawson, correct?
Yes, it is.
And you indicated that you had received some sketches back from her afterwards, is that right?
That's correct.
And ultimately, you said there were some flyers that were produced as a result using those sketches?
That's right.
I'm now going to ask, Your Honor, that these be marked as 1.17 and 1.18. I've provided counsel with a copy already. May I show these to the witness?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you recognize what's in 1.17 and 1.18?
Yes, I do.
Can you tell us what's 1.17?
This the first rendering that Kelly Lawson gave us.
Okay, and that was back on December 11th of 22, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, and with respect to 1.18, what is that?
It's another rendering. It's the second one that we received.
And when was that one received?
That would have been on January 5th.
I believe you tested.
3rd, I'm sorry, 3rd.
Okay, so it was January 3rd. What was January 5th? What happened on January 5th? Did that get posted or something?
I don't recall. I think I just misspoke, so it was the 3rd.
Okay, so when you received that from her, did you then process that into a second flyer?
Yes.
Okay. At this time, Your Honor, I would like to tender states 1.17 and 1.18.
no objection, Your Honor. They're both admitted.
Your Honor, at this time, I'd like to publish those to the jury.
Thank you.
Now publishing 1.17 for the jury. Was that the photograph that was made into the first flyer?
Yes, it is.
And I'm now publishing 1.18. Was that the second photograph that was made into a flyer?
Yes, it is.
At some point, were there side-by-side flyers as well?
Yes, I believe so.
And ultimately, you indicated that you would receive tips on both of those photographs,
That's correct.
but no results?
Not to identify as her officially, no.
Did you investigate other individuals other than Mindy Mebane Kassotis potentially being the deceased?
Yes, we did.
Were there one, more than one? Do you have any idea approximately how many?
I would say anywhere between 75 to 100.
So you ran down a lot of leads.
Or my office did.
Not you personally, my
Yes.
apologies.
Nope.
The GBI.
That's correct.
Okay. Now, when you wound up with no results from the forensic sketches and from all these leads, what did you do next?
So I reached out to another special agent in charge within the GBI who had had success in identifying an unidentified individual. He put me in contact with an FBI agent.
And why did you call the FBI?
They were in the process of doing some genetic genealogy testing, and I reached out to him to see if he could help us with this particular case.
Do they normally help you? Not disrespectfully, but I mean, do they normally work as your partner unless requested?
No, they don't.
Okay, so in this case, you reached out for assistance?
That's correct.
Okay. Did they explain anything to you about procedures for following through with that?
Yes, there were some steps that we had to take before they would take on the case, which included providing details about what we were dealing with, what the investigation had uncovered at that point. There were some other processes that had to be undertaken where some data would be entered into some databases.
Can you explain to the jury what VICAP is?
Sure. It's the FBI's Violent Criminal Apprehension Program. Essentially, it's a database that collects information from law enforcement and compares it to other cases to see if there are similarities or connections.
And what is NamUs?
That's the National Unidentified Missing Persons System.
Okay. And what does that database do?
It also collects information from loved ones and law enforcement about missing and unidentified individuals to see if they can also make connections that with other cases that are entered into the database to hopefully resolve those cases.
Did either VICAP, and just for the record, VICAP, or NamUs, NAMUS, did either of those ultimately yield a result that assisted you?
No, they did not.
And after going through that documentation process with the FBI, who did they put you in touch with?
Gene by Gene.
How do you spell that?
GeneBygene.
So gene, like as in a gene in the DNA?
That's correct.
Okay. And what kind of a organization or company is Gene by Gene?
It's a private forensic laboratory.
Okay. What kind of testing do they do?
They do a genetic genealogy testing.
And how is that withdrawn? Is that something available from the GBI Coastal Crime Laboratory?
No, it is not.
Is that available by any GBI laboratory?
No, it is not.
So you had to go to a private laboratory to be able to try the genetic genealogy?
That's correct.
And as a result of that process, did you have to provide them with information about your case?
Yes, we did.
Specifically, what did you provide them in connection with this case?
I'm not sure we actually provided them with information about the case, but we did have to send them a sample of blood that was obtained from the autopsy.
Okay, and that would have been the blood from the deceased?
That's correct.
And at that time, did you know who she was?
No, we did not.
So when you sent it to Gene by Gene, what were you hoping to accomplish?
We were hoping to learn who our victim was.
Okay. As a result of that process, did you receive any information that assisted you in locating individuals that may have a connection to your deceased?
Yes, we did.
And who was that you went to speak with after that process?
Agent Sands went to speak with Betsy Mabane.
And that's Mebane?
That's correct.
Okay. Why did they go to speak with her?
So during the testing, they were able to basically build a family tree with connections to potential family members of the victim, and she was identified as a possible mother.
Okay. And only if you know, do you know if they ultimately were able to collect a DNA sample from Mrs. Betsy Mabane?
Yes, we were.
Did you assist in any other way in the investigation?
No, other than just general oversight, supervision.
Now, the crime lab, I want to be sensitive here because I'm not trying to be disrespectful. Are there times when you submit items to the crime laboratory for analysis?
Yes.
Does your team submit items to the crime laboratory for analysis as well?
Yes.
Do you always have every item tested you request?
No, we do not.
Can you explain why?
Sure. The resources at our crime lab are limited. We are short-staffed with some scientists in certain areas, so it's impossible for them to be able to test every piece of evidence that's submitted.
Have you had your fair share of conversations hoping for potentially more items to be tested?
Yes, I have.
Did you do that in this case?
I believe so.
And can you explain what a briefing is with the crime lab? Who would do that?
So it would be a supervisor from the office and a supervisor from the crime lab get together and discuss potential additional steps that we would request be taken.
Okay, and did anyone do that in this case as supervisor?
Honestly, don't recall, but I believe so.
Do you know if you had any conversations with the crime laboratory?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Did you make requests for evidence to be examined?
Yes.
And did you do that in assistance with any other agents from your team?
Yes.
Who was that?
Would have been Agent Dickerson and Agent Sands.
Okay. And ultimately, did you receive reports back from the crime laboratory on the items they did ultimately test?
Yes, we did.
Without them being able to do the forensic genetic genealogy, is that why you went to gene by gene?
That's correct.
Did that ultimately provide you with identity for the purposes of knowing who that torso and the rest of the remains belonged to?
Yes, it did.
And who was that?
Mindy Mabane Kassotis.
I have no further questions for this witness, Your Honor.
Thank you. Good morning, Special Agent Smith.
Good morning.
My name is Doug Weinstein. I'm representing Mr. Kassotis in this case. Just a few questions. You testified that you were hoping for more items to be tested. Is that correct?
That's correct.
What specific items were you hoping that the crime lab would test?
I would hope they would have tested everything that we submitted in a perfect world.
Which specific items did you hope they would test that they would not test?
I believe the Clorox wipes or whatever type of wipes those were. Specifically, that's what stands out in my mind.
So did you request those to be tested? You had discussions with the crime lab and then they would not test them?
I don't believe specifically we had the discussion of that. We were presenting them with the list of everything that had been provided, and once something was tested and we didn't have any success or any leads, we would ask for something else to be tested in hopes that we would get some additional information.
You said the crime lab is short-staffed in certain areas. What areas to your knowledge, is the crime lab short-staffed in?
I believe most of the scientific fields are short-staffed across the state.
And just to help the jury understand, what are the scientific fields specifically that are short-staffed across the state?
So I believe toxicology, the chemists, biologists.
And because of that, items that special agents or assistant special agents want to be tested or other agents want to be tested may not be tested by the crime lab.
That's correct.
Even though you believe they should be tested.
That's correct.
No further questions. Thank you.
Just one follow-up. If you had thought something was critical to the case to be able to prove or disprove the case, would you have taken that somewhere else than the GBI Coastal Lab?
Yes, we would have.
Did you do that in this case?
We did.
And did you get results from it?
We did.
Nothing further.
Anything else?
Real quick. Do you ask for items that aren't critical to be tested from the crime lab?
I believe all items that we collect are critical.
Thank you. No other questions.
All right. Any objection to the witness being excused?
No objection.
No objection.
Thank you. You are excused. You're free to go. You just leave that there. All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll go ahead and take a 10-minute recess this morning. If you would step out with the bailiffs, please.